Hello everyone, and let's talk about a new federal report that shows that remote work, flexible work, hybrid work trumps the full-time in-office return that a number of companies are pursuing. Amazon, Goldman Sachs, other companies, IBM, Boeing are calling for a full-time return to office. And the federal government is calling over 400,000 federal employees to the office. Now, this is what we see happening. The return to office policies are framed as necessary for culture, as necessary for oversight, but the federal government's own research by the Government Accountability Office, which is a nonpartisan federal government watchdog that reports to Congress and conducts fact-based independent evaluations, has found in May 2025 a report that challenges the return to office logic of the federal government itself and of many companies. It's drawn on expert interviews and private sector case studies, and the data finds that the research is very clearly on the side of allowing flexibility for remote and hybrid work, not full-time in-office work. And the neutrality, the nonpartisan nature of the Government Accountability Office, the fact that it's a very, very credible, highly valuable, nonpartisan watchdog, it's used extensively. So, for example, the Government Accountability Office is used whenever Congress is trying to evaluate a policy to provide a neutral third-party reference, not Republican, not Democrat, neutral third party, and people on both sides, Republicans and Democrats alike, acknowledge it and say, yes, if the Government Accountability Office says that this policy will cost certain amount of money or otherwise make comments on policies, well, this is an accurate reflection of the policy. So it's generally accepted, and it produces research reports like this one on questions that Congress asks it to research to provide credible, nonpartisan, high-quality evidence. So what does the GAO report find? It finds that remote work, flexible work, remote work meaning spending some time working remotely, 2-3 days a week, 4 days, 5 days a week. So full-time remote work or hybrid work is much, much better than full-time in-office work. It boosts talent retention. So you're much better able to retain talent when you do work remotely. It boosts talent attraction. You're much better able to recruit talent when you offer some remote work. Cost savings. Definitely saving costs on real estate when you offer remote work. Obviously, you have more savings when you offer full-time remote work, but even part-time remote work, you have hot desking options. You don't need an office for everyone. It's definitely good for cost savings. And this is definitely beneficial. It gives employee better well-being. People have less stress. People are commuting less. It helps them improve their performance. So the research by the GAO shows that of making available at least some remote work makes people perform better. So higher productivity is definitely a consequence of allowing flexibility. Whereas a full-time return to office harms performance. It harms well-being. It harms retention. It harms recruitment. It's more expensive. It's bad. Challenges exist in terms of building culture and in terms of oversight and performance, oversight of people's performance, and in terms of the appropriate wages for people who work in different states than where the employer is based, and taxes and so on. But the report points out that the Department of Labor provided regulations, guidance on remote work compliance, so did the Office of Personnel Management. So if you follow that guidance, you should be good on wages. There's also guidance on taxes, and you have very clear good best practices for how to build culture and how to have good oversight. So if you follow those best practices for culture building and oversight of people who are working remotely, whether they're in a hybrid or fully remote environment, you should solve those problems and you should get all the benefits. So RTO policies, return to office policies, the full-time return to office just basically is the worst of all options. The argument, the debate should be between full-time remote work and part-time remote work, meaning hybrid. Those are the only two options we should be considering. we should not be considering the full-time return to office that so many companies are looking at. The federal government is looking at. These are policies without a good rationale. They are harmful, they are destructive, they undermine retention, recruitment, they cost more, they harm employee well-being, and they harm performance. So the GAO report shows that it's very important to have good policies in place, that these policies will enable effective remote work, effective flexible work. Remote work helps organizations adapt, compete, and innovate. Office mandates are the opposite. Companies and federal agencies that adopt return to office mandates will fail in the long run. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps other people discover the show and helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, as always, email me at gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com.